and what we have ahead of us. All right, so good morning, everybody. Scott Dolch, President and CEO of the Connecticut Restaurant Association. I appreciate you guys spending some time this morning on a Thursday morning with me and my team, just to kind of give you guys a lay of the land of where we are as an association, where we are federally, and then most importantly today, as we're kind of kicking off 2023 legislative session, what that means for our industry, what is out there. I'm not here to scare anybody yet, but I'm just going to give you guys the reality of where we are as we try to help you guys, recover from this. So before I pull over to the PowerPoint, just want to let everybody know here, a lot of operators on this call and other people with our industry, please understand, I know how hard it is for our small businesses. I see some folks on here that, have breweries and others, it's a challenge right now. As I talk to you guys every morning, you guys probably saw some of the closures that were announced in Hartford over the last 2 weeks. I've done a lot of media behind that. I know that's not, a small area that it's happening to. It's happening across the state. It's happening across the country. As I talk to my CEO peers as well, what all of you are being faced with right now with inflation, rising costs, lack of staff, and all the other bills that continue to come to a head. And this time of year is always difficult. January, February, March is a difficult time of year in New England to have in hospitality. You've lost some revenue streams with outdoor dining and other things, and you don't have the holiday is come and gone. We're hoping for great weather on Valentine's Day. I know it's a big day for all of us, but just trying to get to the spring as we go forward. So please know that, I say it to you guys as you guys are going to talk to people in the community. If you talk to media or you talk to, we'll get into the legislators as well. Like, don't ever sugarcoat it. Be honest. I think, at the same time, I get some people like, I had the best sales I ever had, a couple weeks ago, but my always follow up to them was, yeah, but it wasn't your best profitable week. Just because your sales numbers, where are your prime costs and your expenses? And, being honest, where I think people just see that on the top, like, oh, then you must be doing fine. Your sales are great. So speak, I know what you want to say. I know you want to obviously be positive like me, but also, it's educating that even though your sales might be up, you're really balancing, those revenues and expenses every single day, every single week, every single month, to do that. So with that said, I will start the webinar here. Again, please keep your screens on mute, and we will go through any questions you have. Please use the chat. I will see if I can share my screen, make sure everyone can see. All right. Hopefully that worked. Sorry, many things open this morning. All right. So, quick rundown of today's webinar. Just topics. I'll give a quick association update, a national update, an update on our legislative session, and then talk a little bit about our wage and hour and legislative seminars that we are bringing back in person, starting hopefully as soon as the next 10 days, and how important those are for you to attend, for members and even non-members alike. So, all right, first slide, just a quick association update. As we go through 2023 and we start 2023, first and foremost, I want to thank all of our members on this call, and anyone listening in that is a member. Without your support, we wouldn't have the association that we have, the team that we have, to be able to advocate every day, to be able to grow the voice of the restaurant industry, catering industry, private event industry. So thank you to that. Obviously, our membership plan for January 1st through December 31st is kind of getting started now. So you'll start to see that with our team, and Yvette is working hard, and Liz, to get those things out to you. And then obviously working through the benefits of what that means to be a member. We work diligently and hard, our membership, just so people ask off the top, we are one member. It's $400 a year for a brick and mortar, and $200 for every additional. Has been our membership dues for the last 5 years. And I hope that everyone that is a member sees the value. We try to give you 5 to 6 times that, if not more, in value back. And every member matters for me and the voice. When I get asked at the Capitol how many members we have, where they're located, do you have any members in my district? I was in the Capitol all day yesterday meeting with freshman delegates, and those are a lot of the questions. So any questions about what that means to be a member, please reach out to our team. Go to our website, ctrestaurant.org. You can go to the member portal and once you become a member and kind of get all different resources. Obviously, our allied member directory, all of our allied partners that work with us to help each of you run your business, our savings programs, and then obviously our membership resource guide was something new we started last year. We're going to start working on our 2023 membership resource guide. It's a hard guide that we will send to you as a member that provides you resources, information on our allied members, ways to get in touch with different folks of questions that you have at any point in time with your restaurant. ServSafe manager, as you guys know, the state is getting ready, if you don't know, to adopt the 2017 food code. If you've had public health inside your restaurant recently, the food code is being updated, so and from a ServSafe manager, certified food operator, whatever those terms were, what does that mean for you in your business? It used to be that you could be trained, maybe it's yourself or somebody else, and they could train others. Now they want to have at least one person at all times inside your business when your doors are open for business to be ServSafe, a ServSafe manager or a similar product certified. So know that. Obviously, we offer discounts to our members for our classes. We have 2 incredible instructors, and Dennis and Nikki, that have, I think, like a 92% passing rating. We teach a class every Monday around the state. Go on our website. You can find those. You can sign up and take part in those classes. You can do it online as well. Now you can do a full online. You could do the online class and an in-person test. There's different ways to get that done, but please know that food code is about to be updated. Now there's a new 2022 food code, but we don't know where the state is on that. It doesn't really affect your certifications as far as ServSafe type products or certified food operator type products, but know what that means. We are obviously trying to do our part to help get as many people food safety and handle, and make sure as you work with DPH within your towns and cities to be certified. So please continue to look. We send out emails, as you guys know, and all the different classes that we teach. And any questions you have, please don't hesitate to reach out. All right, continue to kind of update kind of what's going on with the association. I talked about the membership resource guide. If you look to the kind of the left of the screen, that was our membership resource guide we did in 2022. It's about a 40-page booklet. Inside it, you see a table of contents. It's really about all the different things that we provide, our association resources, from our law center to our member benefits to our healthcare benefits to ServSafe. We talked about Connecticut Hospitality Educate, our foundation, and then obviously all of our prime partners and our different allied members and their contacts. As you guys have questions, this was something we worked on. I give Yvette and our team a lot of credit. What this, the purpose of this is a booklet you should have with you as a member, on your desk, inside your kind of offices, inside the restaurant or facility that you want to check in on, or you need a contact, or you've got a question where it could be, I have a bookkeeper question, I've got a hood cleaner question, I'm dealing with wage and hour, I've got, sexual harassment training, whatever that it might be, that we're trying to put all that into a hard book that you keep for a year. And we're going to be updating that hopefully by middle of April and getting that out to you guys in for all of our 2023 members. Very proud of that guide that we were able to create, and making sure, you guys know the resources that we have and we can provide to you to help your business. Top right corner, that is a picture from Old Saybrook from actually back in, I think it was 2019, pre-COVID. These were our wage and hour and legislative seminars. It's Ryan O'Donnell there at the top with the screen behind him. We are bringing those back. I know a lot of members have reached out to us and said, hey, we want to make sure we're in compliance. We've got questions. We want to make sure, legislatively we can go deeper into some of these bills and issues. And we are going to start those hopefully February 6th in the Hartford area will be our first, which will be not this Monday, but the next Monday. They will be free for members. Obviously you'll be charged if you're a non-member. Those were very well attended in the past. We had anywhere between 70 to 100 at each of those seminars. Ryan O'Donnell and Nicole Griffin, our contract lobbyists, are working with us on those dates to make sure they're present besides myself, to go through, much more in detail of, running your business, things that have maybe changed over the last 3 years on a wage and hour side, or, whatever that it might be within the business side, to answer those questions that you guys all have, and trying to get if we don't have those answers, we'll get them for you. But those are successful events. We're looking forward to bringing those back. Keep an eye out either later this week or early next week, as you can sign up and come out. They'll be on Mondays. I know those are usually better days for you. We usually try to do like 9:30 to 11:30, like a 2 hours, seminar. And we're going to try to do them around the state. The first one obviously will be in Hartford, but we're looking in Norwalk. We're looking, New London County. We're looking in Litchfield County, New Haven County, just trying to find places where it's easier for you guys to come as our members to be at. So that'll start very soon. We'll try to run those through February and March of this year, as we also talk about our legislative challenges as well through the session. Last thing on this screen, I just want to bring it up. I've gotten a lot of emails, people with questions or whatever else. The New York Times last week posted an article really taking a shot at the National Restaurant Association, trying to link ServSafe food handler and fighting against raising wages for minimum wage. I put my hands like this because I feel like they tried to connect two dots with 8 million dots in the middle of it. Very frustrating. Obviously, I talk a lot about the relationship I have with the National Restaurant Association, and the ServSafe that obviously is a product that they own, and they've grown over the last decade or so with all the different products. ServSafe food handler, just so you guys know, isn't even mandated in Connecticut specifically. They're trying to take shots at me, but realistically, those dollars are the dollars that are coming in from ServSafe will, very, very few, if any, are going into any kind of lobbying. And really at the federal level, the wage discussion and conversations aren't happening. You guys know, every state, the different minimum wages and the tip credit and all those conversations are happening at a state level. So I really just think it was a very frustrating article to read. There's a lot of false information. There's actually a great article by, the National Restaurant Association did with the Restaurant Business Online to talk about, that relationship and what is happening and how important food safety is to us and for you guys as restaurants to keep people, foodborne illnesses and everything else, and trying to connect those dots. And also, I think the one thing that I thought the New York Times did wrong is they try to use lobbying and advocacy as a bad word. I think everyone on this call, and this is why I took it personally, would say the efforts of the Connecticut Restaurant Association, National Restaurant Association, on an advocacy side, it's not a bad word. Without our help and our advocacy, restaurants would not have stayed open through the pandemic. Jobs would not have been there for people. The wage discussion should not even ever be a part of that conversation that is there. I'm happy to have sidebar conversations with folks, but I put that screenshot on there. I'm also very frustrated. If you saw why I have that screenshot, that's an Instagram shot. I thought, the IRC, as I've talked to some of their leadership in the past, was really trying to take a shot at the National Restaurant Association. And I think that's also my frustration is, they've been around 100 years. They've been trying to help this industry. They will continue to do that. They're a great partner of ours. We are doing the same in Connecticut at a state level. And I don't understand why we're trying to divide our industry and why we're trying to be divisive, and where that was. And I think that that's also really where the intent of that article came from. There's much more details to that, but I just, as you guys talk about it and people just read headlines and don't really know the full truth of how everything kind of works and how important obviously food safety is, which is one bucket and really should have nothing to do with lobbying and everything else that's going on. And obviously, there's hundreds, if not thousands of bills that we work on and we advocate for or against, not specifically to wages and those things. Actually, one great stat I got is 99% of restaurant workers make above the minimum wage. Just so everyone is clear, like I thought that stat was incredible to see from national. Minimum wage workers come from so many other industries and not ours. So I just thought, it was really bad piece of media, in my opinion. But I also want our members to know how important the CRA is, how important the National Restaurant Association is to us, and what we deal with at a state level. And we continue to advocate for you on a national level as well. So I'll stop there, but happy to continue to answer people's questions as we move forward. On a positive note, just kind of shifting gears. Go back. For those of you that attended the Crazies, some great photos here. Thank you. On behalf of my team, we sold nearly 1,300 tickets. We had over 1,200 people in attendance at Foxwoods in early December. Just a phenomenal event all the way around. Thank you so much to our partners and all of our sponsors. Obviously, Go Nation and Chaz, phenomenal job. The Power Station team with Al. I can't thank people enough of what my vision of what that event wanted to be, and naming it the Crazies 4.5, 5 years ago to what it continues to be. I hope everyone that was in attendance had fun. Love to take ideas to make it even better in 2023. You missed out if you didn't go. Looking to kind of continue to make this, a staple, and to kind of give some kudos to all the efforts of everybody to help put that on. One of the things I said when I did this was my goal for Crazies winners and nominees is to continue to get national attention. And, I think that our chefs of the year should be James Beard potential nominees and semifinalists. And we learned yesterday that our chef of the year at the 2022 Crazies, I don't know if Renee is on or Dan's on, but congratulations to Renee Tupons being named a finalist for the James Beard. We also saw Cora named as one of our restaurants in the North region, was named as a semifinalist as well for a second year in a row. And you also saw Christian at Open Table, Community Table being another chef. Christian, for all that they're doing out there. So I just kind of, continue to say, wow, I didn't expect the Crazies to get to where it has in such a short time. And obviously Jacques Pepin is in that photo. We recognize him with Lifetime Achievement, the Shipwright's daughter and the team there winning overall. Obviously Renee's in the bottom right, you see the after party and obviously the larger scale of the event. So thank you. Looking forward to 2023, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up on the webinar, of thanking so many people involved to make that such an incredible event. All right. Other things that are kind of going on with the association. If you guys don't know, we have a foundation, our 501c3, that does so many different things to help in building back our industry, and growing our industry. Workforce development is a huge part of our foundation and growth potential. Our foundation is called CHEF, Connecticut Hospitality Educational Foundation. I'm also, the president of that foundation as well. We have a board there. One of our flagship events is our ProStart State Invitational, where we have high schools from around the state compete in a culinary and restaurant management competition. Our second year of moving this to Dunkin' Donuts Park in Hartford. This will be our second year. So on March 1st, we're going to have our state competition. The winning culinary and management teams will go and compete in Washington, D.C. in May. It's such a phenomenal event. If you want to take part in it as maybe a judge or, help us in different capacities and ways, it's such a fun event. It's really, last year the governor came, we had all the media there, hoping to have other legislative leaders, now that they're at the Capitol working, to come see this event on Wednesday the 1st. Please reach out to Jennifer. Her email is there. The other ask I asked for you guys is, we're not looking to do Restaurant Week. I know how you all feel about Restaurant Week, but a way to generate proceeds and dollars for this program and traveling and everything else, and our foundation as a whole. We're going to be doing ProStart Weekend. It's kind of a long weekend, March 1st, that Wednesday, the start of the competition through the end of that weekend. We're kind of taking this from a national ProStart thing that's been going on in some other states. But what we're going to ask of restaurants that want to participate is you ask your guests that during those 5 days, if they make a $10 donation to ProStart, you give them a $10 gift card to return to their restaurant. I know there's other programs like this. I know there's different charities that have done things like this. We've got a handful of restaurants already reached out to us to want to participate. That's really our only ask of you. And then that's just a donation at the end of the day that goes to our foundation and helps grow this program as we want to see more and more high schools and students get involved. So Jennifer Conklin-Smith is our foundation director. That is her email. Please reach out to her for more information. Would love, we'll get emails and other ways to get to participate, but we love to see hundreds of restaurants participate in this. It's probably one of the best days that we have of the year to see these high school students compete at this level in the skill set. A lot of the chefs joke with me and saying I would hire a lot of these people today to be on my line, or even these restaurant managers competition, the public speaking and the people that we've seen come through this program. So hoping for a continued support from our members and non-members alike. But, looking forward to March 1st in Hartford. Okay. Just kind of quickly shifting gears to a national update. Not saying things are quiet. Obviously, we know that the House is now, we have a new Speaker of the House. Took a little bit of time for Kevin McCarthy to gain that seat, as you guys probably saw in the national news. But understand that, with a Republican-run House, and now you have, the Democratic Senate, obviously a Democratic-controlled White House, what is going to kind of happen this session and what we're going to be working on. I just wanted to put some kind of high-level stuff that Sean Kennedy and his team are kind of working on that we are going to be a part of. I think the biggest question that I get asked all the time is there going to be more checks? Where's RRF? What's going on with that? Understand, as much as we'd love to see more checks come out to help our industry, please also understand that, where we are post-COVID, that, finding dollars or printing dollars with inflation is a huge sore subject down there. I do not see that as a reality in the near future. Not saying conversations about what you're going through as I started this webinar is always happening to make sure there's ways that we try to find and help and offset the challenges that are there. So there's 4 high-level things that I want to update you guys on that's going on. I'm not getting overly excited that anything, will happen yet. I think you'll see stuff from us as we need your help to get things across the finish line. But I highlighted that commercial seafood tariff. It was in the national news last week or early this week. And then there was the China tariff as well, as we're trying to work. Sean Kennedy and Michelle Korsmo. Sean is the head of public affairs and Michelle's their CEO, are really trying to work with the trade side of this to try to bring tariffs down, try to help inflation. The commercial seafood tariff specifically, it looks like, we could be spending in the US like 25% or more than where we were before with some of these taxes of trying to get seafood into our country from international waters, and how that's affecting our restaurant buying power. Looking at things like that and all these different tariffs that are out there to try to bring these numbers down. I mean, you guys all know what you're dealing with egg prices, to seafood, to proteins, really, trying to do everything we can to bring that prime cost down any way that we can on a national level. So I commend them of trying to get creative and working to push back on some of these ways to do that. The Restaurant Revitalization Tax Credit Act that's been reissued. What is that act? That's not actual grants going to people that didn't get RRF. That is actually giving a tax credit to those that applied, were eligible, and didn't receive RRF. It's, right now being co-signed and proponents by 3 Democrats that are out there. That was put out, I believe, late last week down in DC. Obviously we're supportive, but, still trying to learn, where that is, on both the House and the Senate side. But again, I get it. We know that the RRF helped with $28.3 billion, helped a lot of restaurants, but it also only helped 1/3 of our restaurants across the country and in Connecticut. So what does that mean for the other 2/3? So continuing to try to find ways to help those that were eligible and didn't receive it. So that act has been put out forward, and we are obviously supportive. The Essential Workers for Economic Advancement, there's like that H2C program that's been put out that we are trying to find different ways. I know immigration reform as a whole is something we'd love to have conversations and figure out down in Washington, D.C. But at the same time, we know that is a very difficult giant boulder to roll up a hill. So at the same time, we are trying to find I guess, singles instead of trying to get grand slams, of trying to find maybe pieces of legislation that can help you in the worker challenges and shortage. And that H2C program is really a kind of a worker visa program specific to hospitality, and trying to help, especially for people coming over internationally or whatever else, to help get them opportunities for jobs and their visas. So that's a program that Nationals continue to push, and we're going to support and do what we can with our delegates down in DC. The other one has a whole lot of news, but it needs to stay top of mind. We know with the EIDL loans, so many of you took those out throughout the pandemic. But the taxes and the different challenges you're faced with your EIDL loan, trying to find ways, they're never going to turn those into grants, but are there ways to lower the taxes? Are there ways to take away that kind of freezing period where they continue to tax you on that freezing period? Like, I think that, there's things that need to be done in DC with those EIDL loans to help you. And that's really what's important to us right now, is to figure out creative ways. Those are kind of 4 top level highline things in DC that we are working towards and trying to help you guys on a national advocacy front. I'm sure there'll be more things as I go forward, as I work with Michelle and Sean, any way that we can help with our different delegates. As I'll turn to the next screen, during November election, it didn't change. We have the same 7 federal delegates, both our 5 in the House and our 2 in the Senate, making sure they're continuing to hear our voice as we move forward, as you guys work to recovery. All right, more important, why we're here today, we'll get to some questions on a state side. So legislative session kicked off first week of January. It is the first time the building is fully back open. I was there yesterday. It was a little ironic to not have to wear a mask and be able to gain access to every floor. And I, had an opportunity to actually meet with a lot of our freshman delegates. So you guys know, with November's election at a state level, we saw a lot of change. Not change, obviously, it's a supermajority in the Senate. It's 24-12, Democrat to Republican, and I believe it's 97-54 in the House of Democratic control. And obviously, Governor Lamont is being reelected for a second term. But the other thing that really changed is there's 36 freshman delegates out of the 170 number that there is up there, understanding, or 175, understanding that there's 36 of them that are freshmen. There's also another 15 to 20, I think, that are sophomores, meaning they were elected during 2020 election, which was all COVID related, not in the building. So there's so many new faces. And I was up there yesterday. I'm going to be up there next week, probably the week after, just continuing to try to meet with a lot of these freshman reps and senators that have never, been elected, and they're inside that building and they're on committees like labor and general law and all these other things that, our bills are coming out pro for us and a lot negative, and what that means, what those bills would mean for you. So I lead with that by saying, each of you today, if you do not know who your rep is or your state senator in your district of your restaurant or multiple restaurants, or where you live at home, my job is to help educate you. And if you have access and you want to build that relationship, please reach out to us, or also go out on your own. Building those rapport, as that's why our membership is so important. Having members that are active and have relationships with these members matter. In all of my conversations yesterday, every single topic, whether it was someone from Norwich, Bridgeport, Danbury, Meriden, New Haven, their first conversation was, well, who are your members from my district? And, who are they? What are they going through? What's the reality? That's why the growth of who we are, our kind of voice matters. So as we go into this session, making sure we're going to talk about that in our legislative seminars as well, is to really try to do our part legislatively to build those relationships at a local level with our district, especially with so many new faces. We don't know exactly where they stand on certain bills. We don't know where they are on the fence, what's important to them, what's not important to them. We don't, a lot of them don't understand, almost none of them know how to run a business like yours, let's be honest. But also, we don't know what they know about the restaurant industry, the catering industry, private event industry. And that's why it's going to be very important that we build those relationships, not only for myself, but each of you that are on this call as we go forward. So let's take a quick snapshot of what we're looking at for this session. So there's going to be other bills, there's going to be other challenges. These are kind of the top level, not to get people riled up this morning, but happy to talk about some of these things as much as I can. So outdoor dining, there will not be another bill legislatively with outdoor dining. It expires in April. Don't freak out. The reason for that is the governor passed a bill 2 years ago that will go into effect that allows your towns to continue working with DCP and the liquor to go out. If they want to allow you to go on the sidewalk, they want to allow you to go, into the road, but it's blocked off, to do that. The challenge I would just say to you is that's also partly my job, is working with these mayors and first selectmen to make sure that they're prepared for that, because a lot of them go, well, the bill expires. The bill that the governor passed is allowing you to do those things again. However, the towns now have more control, which I understand as we kind of get through COVID, of what they want to allow. I mean, maybe taking over half a parking lot, might not be the best course of action for them moving forward, or maybe it is. But I would say to each of you today, if you use an outdoor space that you didn't build within your plans, it wasn't a patio that you already have, and you want to use the front sidewalk, you want to use a couple parking spots outside, reach out now. Don't wait till May 1st or when the weather starts to turn. Hopefully it's April 1 to start saying, hey, we're going to do that again. Start reaching out to your town and making sure and then let me know if you see challenges. If you're like, wait a minute, Scott, I talked to Norwalk and they're telling me this, or hey, I talked to New London and they're saying this. My team needs to know so we can kind of help facilitate that. I can promise you, as much as I would hope this would be easy, I use West Hartford, and Sherry Cantor is a great example for all of you on the call that have locations in West Hartford. She wants to continue. She sees it as a huge success story. I don't see a lot of changes to West Hartford outdoor dining, which is great. I'd like to see that for other towns, but I need all of you to be advocates and start that conversation in January. So as we get closer to the spring, what that means for you guys moving forward. And also understand, like, if you're asking to use your whole parking lot again and put up 3 tents and then try, like, that could be a little bit of a challenge. So, we still have to understand that we're beyond the pandemic of expectations for this versus not. So I start with outdoor dining just because I've gotten a lot of calls like, hey, they're just going to extend it. Like, the governor did pass a bill that really puts it in the hands of the cities and towns. So do your work. Tell me how I can help. I know I'm going to get a lot of calls in May, but if you guys could get out in front of this, it'd be a huge help for me. Alcohol to go. I know many of you use it. I know it's not a huge revenue side, but every revenue matters right now. It does sunset in 2024. We are working to try to eliminate that sunset and make that permanent for restaurants. We've been having those conversations. We had them yesterday. I hope everybody, we're actually looking to do some webinars to help you guys use alcohol to go to your benefit. Some restaurants are doing a phenomenal job of it, and definitely generating significant dollars back to their business in that way. So alcohol to go will be a topic for us on a positive side. I shift over to some of the negative bills. There's some other things we're working on, behind the scenes as well. So tax breaks, different things with workforce development dollars and such, but we're also in Connecticut, and the Labor Committee has come out with their set of bills. And this is what we're looking at. And I just share this with you guys, not to get you guys riled up, but this is the reality of what they put on the docket. So kind of the 2 big bills this year. First is Fair Work Week is what they're calling it, I believe, or predictive scheduling. It's the scheduling bill. For those of you that are not aware of that bill, there's only one state in the country that's ever passed a scheduling bill. Ours is the last version I ever saw of it was much worse. It says you have to post your schedule 14 days in advance. And if you change it for any reason inside 7 days, you owe every employee for every hour they had on that calendar, whether or not they work or not. It doesn't work for our industry. You guys know, especially in COVID, events get canceled all the time. There's weather dependency, there's rain, thunderstorms, outdoor dining options, all these things, the flexibility, you lose that. And that's, where that bill stems from and the challenges that it faces. of, giving flexibility not only to the employer, but to the employee. If you have someone that's like, hey, my daughter has a doctor's appointment tomorrow, being able to change schedules and shifts with folks, this bill makes it very difficult, puts a lot of onus on the employers, like everything, on the employers. So know that I need your guys' voice in this. We have a coalition with other business associations on this bill, but more to come. There will be a public hearing on both these next two bills, and I'm going to ask of you to hopefully be at the Capitol with me to make sure that they understand that this is not the time. Now is definitely not the time to try to put forward these bills in our legislature and helping you guys this is not helping you recover. The other one is the first time we've seen it. It's called One Fair Wage, at least in Connecticut in a while. They are trying to eliminate the tip credit in Connecticut. What does that mean? For them, it's two different parts. For them, they think that they just want servers and bartenders to be paid full minimum wage and then receive tips. Let's just be clear. I've got data. I've talked to all of you guys individually. We know servers in our state are making on average $27 an hour, 7 of it from the credit, $20 on average from tips. Double the minimum wage, or right about what 28 would be double. That's the average. We know many restaurants are making well more than that. This is becoming a national push. Washington, D.C., had it to eliminate the tip credit. California, Oregon, and Washington, do not have a tip credit. They lost that years ago, but understand from any servers that are on here, conversations, or folks that you guys work with, what's happened on the West Coast is there's now, service charges and different things where, you're not going to charge $32 for a hamburger. So you'll pay flat rate for your servers, but they're not going to have the flexibility. Some of them, make as high as $41, which is the national average, probably even higher in our state. And they get to pick their schedules. They get to come in because they're experienced, like, hey, I'm going to work a Friday and Saturday night because it's busy. Where like that's changed on the West Coast on a big way. So, I definitely know this is going to be an interesting conversation as we move forward with the Labor Committee, but this is the first time we've seen it. And I think it's really important that we educate not only as operators, but our service staff and bartenders to know what this could mean for them and their livelihood, and why it's important to keep the structure that we have, because they are some of our highest paid earners in our industry. And that flexibility that they have, is important to them. And I think it's important to our employers. So those are two bills. Those are kind of the two big ones in labor that have come forward that I will need to testify on in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I will ask each of you on this call and listening in to hopefully come and support our industry when we do have that public hearing, to make sure they know that now is not the time to be trying to push legislation like this. The minimum wage increase and index, I just want to educate you guys. Right now, we go to $15 on June 1st. There is also an index, an ECI, Employment Cost Index, that will start on January 1st, 2024. So in less than about 11 months from today, if nothing changes on the index, which we saw it in October of this past year, the minimum wage will go up to $15.75. It'll go up 75 more cents. So you'll go up $1.75 with the minimum wage, and how that pushes wage inflation for all your other staff in 11 months. And then it will continue to go up every January 1 based on that ECI report. It is something that is very important to us to have this conversation with folks inside that building at the Capitol, like, listen, we're just getting to 15 and trying to feel that out, to continue just to have increases, and also having an index that, is not what was talked about when that index was created back in 2018. That index was about 18 cents to 20 cents, not 75, or even more. I mean, it was up as high as 88 cents, back in March. So where that goes. So minimum wage conversation is one that we're going to continue to have this year, and try to see if we can get creative on that. And then the last two kind of bullets I have, the Unemployment Insurance Trust. There's still hundreds of millions of dollars that we owe back to the federal government that we borrowed as a state. I use the word we, but the state borrowed to pay off their unemployment So, at the end of the day, they didn't use all the CARES Act money and other dollars or their surplus or the rainy day fund to close out that fund. Right now, they're going to put it on the backs of businesses in Connecticut, which that means is your FUTA and SUTA taxes will be increased significantly over the next 5 years to pay it off. It's another huge issue that I have. It's not just a restaurant issue. It's a business issue that we need to continue to be loud. As I talked to Christy Patima at CBIA and other, organizations, Connecticut retail merchants and others to have this conversation to see what we can do with the money that is there and work with different, with finance and appropriations and other committees at the Capitol to see if we can try to pay that off. We're one of only, I think, 4 states that still owe the federal government, just to put that in comparison. And the last thing is, workforce development. We're 22,000 jobs short of where we were in February of 2020. I know that, we're not just going to wave a magic wand and people are going to come back to work. We have to invest in building back our workforce. And that starts the ProStart conversation earlier in this webinar. That starts with our Restaurant Ready program, our apprenticeship program, but we need dollars and resources for that. So we're trying to work with the state, we're trying to work with the federal government to try to find ways to receive dollars, use our foundation in any way that we can. But we are calling on you guys as owner operators. If you're interested in some of these programs, if we can try to find you, we have some Restaurant Ready programs that are out there. We have some apprenticeship programs that have started. That's Jennifer Conklin Smith, our foundation director, but workforce development is the goal of trying to find dollars any way that we can to help hospitality get back on its feet. So those are legislative session where we are right now. Obviously, I'll have a cursor, but the scheduling bill and the tip credit bill are gaining a lot of steam coming out of the Labor Committee. Also, just so everyone is aware, which is just heartbreaking news, if you did not hear, the new House Labor Chair this year was going to be Quentin Williams, who everyone called Q. He was out of Middletown. For anybody from Middletown that might know Q, knew him. He was actually, I would have called him a friend. Spent some time with him over the last 4 or 5 years. But know that he obviously had he had his own views in labor, but at the same time, we also had some great conversations over the last 4 years. And we actually had a webinar a couple weeks in late December to talk about his role in labor and what he wanted. And then we had the inaugural ball, which I didn't put any photos up for the governor's inauguration. Thank you to the 30+ restaurants. Some of you are on this call for being there and representing our industry, but we actually had Q. It was in the building, walking around, talking to restaurateurs about issues like scheduling and tip credit and minimum wage and all the questions that he led at labor. Unfortunately, he was killed that night by a wrong way driver on Route 9 heading back to Middletown. It was just couldn't fathom and believe, unfortunately, feel so bad for his wife and his family and the whole community of Middletown and everyone else that knew him. So heart goes out to them, but also know that, with that said, what really is frustrating is there's definitely now we have a new House chair and Manny Sanchez, but Julie Kushner, who's the Senate chair, and others have tried to, even, not long after his death, have tried to use, scheduling and others that they want to get through for Q, where I think that is wrong for me, because I can promise you in my conversation with him, it was a bigger discussion. I just don't like how some of the legislators are doing that, but, he is someone that, 39 years old, had the whole world in front of him, was going to be a leader inside the Capitol and beyond. It's a tough day. It was obviously a tough day hearing the news, and it's been a tough few weeks. But I just wanted to share that. I know there's some Middletown names on this webinar, to know that, what it meant for us and our relationship and my job at the CRA, trying to work with both sides of the aisle. We're trying to build a new relationship with Manny Sanchez, the new House chair. Same with Julie Kushner out in Danbury. But it also goes back to these conversation, guys, of, why relationships you can have within the delegates that you have in your district matter. I see a question on here. The 22,000 jobs is our industry specifically. not across all industries. We were 138,000 jobs when in February 2020 we were 160. So that's the reality of, there's a lot of other peel back the onion into that number. But yeah, I get it. You guys are all feeling it. I know no one probably is working at 100% capacity where they were pre-pandemic. And so we'll continue to do what we can to get those jobs back, find the future, and workforce development has to be critical, for that. So I really stop there and there really aren't a lot of questions today. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It has been a while since we've done these. As we move forward, some other things that just kind of, I have in notes here just to kind of talk about, employee retention tax credit, as I use the word ERC or ERTC. If you haven't done that, if you have a restaurant and you're an operator, you're all eligible. Please reach out to us. We'll try to put you in contact with some folks to help you. That's significant dollars. Those are tax credits for employees you had working throughout the pandemic. You can go all the way back with your tax returns into 2020. That kind of clock is ticking though. It's going to end very soon. So I use the ERTC word, ERC word, to make sure you guys know how important that is. Because there's many restaurants probably on here that haven't done that. So if you don't know what employee retention tax credit is, please call us. Please reach out to us. I'll put kind of all of our emails on here as for any kind of outreach that you guys have. I guess I'll leave that up, but I'll turn, let's see, Yvette or anybody else on my team. Did I miss anything through this? Other topics that want to be brought up?
No, Scott, I think we're good on our end. Just again, those reminders, the wage and compliance seminars, as soon as we have the dates and locations pinned down, we'll push that out to everyone. We're going to try to have 4 to 5 locations in different parts of the state. Please attend those. There's a lot of information that we'll be sharing, and you will have access to Scott. We will have our contract lobbyist, Nicole Griffin, there, and our wage and employment and CRA legal counsel, Ryan O'Donnell. You'll have access to those folks, and we'll be sharing a lot of information that will impact your business. We have had a lot of people reaching out to us asking when we're going to have more of those, and they're incredibly valuable. It will be free for our members. So please just look out when we begin to promote that. Scott also mentioned the member resource guide. Please use that as a resource. The very first page shows you how to log in to the member portal. We do put resources there that are available only to our members. We will put, anytime we have a webinar, the recording from the most recent webinar will be in the portal. So please, if you haven't gone in there before, please look at the resource guide for the instructions on how to access your account in the member portal and access various resources that we put there that are members only. So those are my plugs, Scott, for the day.
No, it's great. Rocco, great question. As you guys know, the government thinks they can do things better. There is the My Connecticut Savings mandate for 401k. You guys are probably getting emails about that. What that means is you have to either be offering a 401k program to your employees, or you need to be offering the My Connecticut Savings mandate, which they can opt out of. But you either have to be doing one or the other. I know I've gotten questions on this. I am working still diligently, but obviously being the fiduciary and trying to figure that out, we are trying to find a pathway for the CRA to open up what's called a MEP, where all of our members would be able to join in. It would save you significant dollars on audit, save you significant dollars on different fees and fiduciary responsibilities. We do not have that yet. I know that your timing's up, but obviously you could drop out of this at any point and come in. I just want to make sure we do our due diligence and make it right and for you. But yes, Rocco, it is correct. There was a bill passed 2 years ago that every small business, if you have 2 or more employees, has to be offering 401k to their employees. If not, they have to offer the My Connecticut Savings program, which is an it's not an opt-in, it's an opt-out program. So happy to as we kind of move forward. I think, I know those deadlines, I believe for us is like end of April that you have to be signed up. So I would venture to guess that we'll have a webinar soon to talk about that specifically and what it means for you if we have hopefully an opportunity to be a part of a CRA version of that. So hope that answers that question as best I can right now. Other questions? We don't have a huge group on this morning. At least some folks are so, I mean, if you want to, I think, that we can probably turn off the recording and just allow folks to ask questions that they're here. Let me stop share. There we go. See some of your guys' faces.